right. Hi, everybody. Let's welcome Nuno Loureiro with his talk, Is Design the Final Frontier to Mass Adoption?
Hey, hello. Thank you for being here. It's going to be talk about design. So thank you. To begin with, I would just want to have a small introduction. Just why do I do this talk? Mostly because everyone is shit-talking about design. We need design, we need design, we need design. UX is terrible. Everyone is always talking about how terrible is the experience on Web3. That's why I'm doing this talk, mostly to try to bring design into the space. So this is what we get all over the place. You get like, this sucks, awful experience, how things were, it's hard to use, was really bad. You go on Twitter, you have a bunch of folks just saying bad things about Web3, it's not ready, the users are not ready. So even here, my talk about design is miscellaneous topic, which is kind of, okay, there's no track on user design, whatever. So even in events like this, and I love the organizers, like for sure, it's not about the organizers, but just to prove a point, that's why design, it's not on the forefront of the conversation, it's all about technical stuff. You need to bring more design to the table. That's why I'm doing this today. But to be fair, I have a disclaimer. Recently, I woke up and I got this cast from Pedro, from Wallet Connect, and this gives me hope. I'm not talking about the topic in question, but it's the first time that I see on core devs some discussion that relates to user experience and design. So there might be hope. Okay. Now to the talk. This was my disclaimer. So now to the talk. Is it design the final frontier for mass adoption? Yes? No? It depends. It depends on how you think. Like, if you think to the user specifically, it might think, okay, design is what's lacking. But there's another way of saying this, like tech is not ready. We are not ready to onboard. We are still far, far away from having a good experience because the technology is not ready. So it really depends. So let me dig in. So introductions now. Hello, my name is Nuno. I come from Lisbon, sunny Lisbon. I'm Portuguese, so my English is not my first language. If I do some mistake, if I don't speak correctly, sorry about that. This is where I spend most of my days. I'm a designer at Ethereum.org. It's a community-driven learning platform for Ethereum. Like everyone knows what Ethereum.org is. It is where I spend more of my time redesigning and fostering the community to have a better onboarding on crypto. That's the main goal that I do. And now to the talk itself. So first, explain what is Frontier. Everyone knows Frontier, but you can have like, it's the next challenge, what's coming next. That's why I had Frontier on the title of the presentation. And for design, like everyone knows that this is probably what design is about, like roughly. Like it can be a lot of different things. Design has a lot of different aspects, parallels with different things. It's not one static way of seeing it. If you do more on research, more on UI, more on like creativity, you have a lot of different things. What is design? But let's focus on it's a problem solving, functionality, aesthetics, like it's all this combined. But I would add that for Web3 specifically, we can help on those four things, main topics. We can like make the learning curve a lot less harder if we think design first. We can balance security and usability. Security is really, really important in the space, and design can have a really important role on helping that. Like educating the users, like educating what is Web3, what are we doing here, what we need this product or this service or the whole thing that we are building, and be trust and honest. And honest is one of the funny things when I was making the slides, because when I think about honesty, I thought about this guy. Do you know Dieter Ham's? Dieter Ham's, it's one of the gods of design from the 70s. He was the main designer at Brown. He created a lot of stuff. And one of the things that he in the 70s was trying to find was what makes design a good design. And he came up with 10 areas. I'm not going to I can talk about this, happy to talk these hours about Dieter Ham's. This is one of my idols like from the 70s. But he had one good thing. Good design is honest. And probably in the space where you have a lot of non-honest or like rug pulls, whatever you call it, probably design should be the one honest thing. We need to make honest interfaces. We need to forefront to the users what's happening. Like, be honest to them. Just for a little bit Apple reference, like if you have an iPhone in your pocket, I'm sure you have this. So even today, your calculator on your iPhone, it's because Dieter Ham's created this for Brown. So this is how important he was, and this is how important he is right now still. So open your iPhone and you see that your equal, it's orange, because of Dieter Ham's from the 70s, and because John and I just inspired from that, and you have a lot of bunch of inspirations. So like you can see how important someone in the past can be even today on the digital world, like you have it on your pocket. So, okay, this is my design reference because I'm a designer. I need to have an Apple reference on a design talk. But to be honest, I had another one. Do you remember the hello from the other slide? So it's the original hello from the Mac. I really love the first Mac, so that's why I have it. So I have two Apple references. It was just a funny thing. So just a little bit on perspective. We can have different layers. And just to put in perspective why it's a final frontier, it's because design is on the next level that we need to work on. And if you have some level where we have a lot of the code, smart, like all the tech infrastructure, all the things that is happening, probably we can put this on the scale that we have our ethos, our core values, why are you doing this? We have the technology, and probably we need in the end what? The end user, the application layer, the social layer, everything that we needed. And that's where we think that we need to talk more about design. We need more talks like this. Another reference, that's why the triangles, if you know what I mean. So, I'm probably being a little bit too fast. I have 9 topics that I go through that my goal with this topic is to kickstart the conversation, like small topics, nothing related with each other, just to try to think differently about some of the aspects that sometimes we do use them on our conversations and talk about them, and they might be unrelated, but it's what I got for you today to try to bridge the gap between design and technology or design and Web3. First of all, like Web 2 to Web 3, I'm old enough to work in Web 2 for quite a while, and my reference, did you saw the movie, the Poor Things, where at some point the animals were like different heads, like they have a pig with a dog's head and you have a duck with a pig's head. So this is a little bit how I feel when we are creating the products. Like, it's not perfect. It will never be. Like, there's a phase for things to happen. Things will feel weird at some point. It's weird. I know. The experience it's not there yet. So we need to embrace it. Like, the Web 2 revolution in the beginning was weird. Like, remember the first iPhone? How weird was the apps? Like, the experience itself was not good. So for Web 3, we need to understand that at some point, this feels like this. It's like animals being different, and we need to embrace it and take it that it's an evolution. Second one, new patterns. I always bring this one because I do remember this thing back in the day, was the Tweety app for Twitter. So the Tweety app, Twitter back in the day when it was good, before whatever it is today, Twitter, not X. It was a web app only on the browser, and have a set of APIs, and all the mobile clients were made by third parties, and you have a bunch of them. And each one was challenging each other how to make it better. So it was a healthy way of creating apps. So 2 guys that used to work on Apple create the pull to refresh, which today, can you imagine not having a pull to refresh on your browser? On every app, and on your phone, and you... Back in the day, it was a button on the top that says you need like a small arrow, and you press it to refresh. And now you have the pull to refresh, which feels normal. Back then, when they pulled out this app, it was against Apple human guidelines. No one wanted. The user testing was awful. Like the users, like, wow, this is super awkward. I'm pulling the refresh. It was awkward. And now, how do you see it? It's perfectly natural, and you even do it probably with your mouse on your browser. Like everyone do it. So even for Web3, the parallel here, it's new patterns will emerge. New ways of interacting with the software, new ways of doing stuff will happen. And we need to be ready for that. Probably user testing is going to be different, but we need to be ready for that. And this is a great example when the mobile design was beginning, and we are creating new interactions. Oh, how about this? How about that? And probably we need more of that for Web3. The other one is kind of a pet peeve of mine, which is I hear this a lot. You don't need to know blockchain is. I kind of disagree with this. Because if you don't tell the users what's happening, why would they choose to use a blockchain to begin with. What's the difference between, like if it is completely transparent? And the metaphor that I use is kind of a car. We all know what is a brake, what is a steering wheel, what is like how to brake a car. You know the brake work. You don't need to know how the engine works, like the details. You don't need to know how to change the oil on your motor. Like you have, you go to the shop to do that. But you do understand how the car fairly works. It's enough for you to understand the medium, to use it, and to be perfect, like not to kill someone. There's a set of rules that we all agree upon, to be on the streets, to cross the roads, to like all that stuff. Probably crypto needs to have some sort of close to this. You don't need to expose everything to the user, but there's some parts that needs to be exposed. There's some learning curve that it needs to happen, my view at least. So take it with a grain of salt. Another one, it's like another thing, like let's start doing things seriously. Stop the meme thing, like, okay, once and for all, let's do serious thing. The other one, it's, again, the one from Pedro from the beginning. I added that slide. I had this slide already read it, but it's the same thing. For us, for design, it's really hard to get into this. And we need more design thinking on all the core protocol things. It happened with that cut abstraction discussion, but probably we need more. And it's daunting for me as a designer to just get into this and understand what's going on. How can I help? How can I jump in? Probably we need to understand better the tools and probably a different set, like more diverse set of skills on those discussions might help. Not just design, probably others. I don't care, but I'm focused on design at this point, but probably others. And I think this can help probably shape a little bit the technology more towards an end goal that it's more friendly to the user in the end. The other one, it's another thing that bothers me every time I have someone talking, oh, but my mother will not use this. Damn, this is not for your mother, it's for your kid. We are not designing this for the elder generation, it's for the youngest generation. So we need to understand who are our target audience. Like, probably the elder generation, our mothers, grandfathers, will be the long tail of Web3. They will use in the end, like it happened on Web 2, Facebook users. Like they were the last ones. They love it. Wow, they're all over the place. But to begin with, was for college students that it was created. We need to think the same. Like this is forefront. It's hard tech. It's hard to explain, and they will be more willing to use it. So probably we need to focus on a different generation. And the Gen Z generation, I just found out really recent. This is from last month. They are super wealthy, apparently. So they are more workforce that's bigger than the boomer, like the ones from the 60s. And apparently, they have the means to onboard and change funds and to invest. So why not target to them? Might be TikTok users, might be different kinds of thinking on the user interface, but we don't need to make it as simple as for an elder. It might just be simple for someone that is digital native at this point. So probably we need to target to them. Another one and we at ethereum.org do struggle with this a lot. It's not easy, but we didn't need to use different wording. The jargon is super complex, even for us. To explain one of these things to someone that is not crypto, it's hard. Probably create some sort of metaphors, relations to the real world, I don't know. But we need to work together. And probably design can help this. So this one it's hard. And again, Web 2 we did the same. Like the email thing, like it was an email. Why? It was a mailbox because everyone knew the email. Before that, everyone knew that when you got a mail, you had something that you opened. That's why the envelope. That's why the box. Even the trash. Like I love this trash because it has a recycle thing. Like what do you recycle there? Is it plastic? Is it glass? It doesn't make sense. But it was the way back then they think, like, how can the users understand? You have a desktop, you have folders. So probably we need to come up with something. And I always do this because the wallet, it's kind of weird because a wallet, can be to store your funds, can be your identity. So it's not clear that a wallet's the best word, but I do get it that it's the word that we use to be closer to what the users know, what is a wallet, what you put on your own wallet. So somehow we need to understand that those words, probably they are hard. We need to make some sort of parallel with the normal users. Another one, we need to get out of our own bubble. We go to a lot of different events, we listen to the same media, we listen to the same podcasts. We need to go out to the real world, understand the needs. Who are we designing to or creating the products to? Who are we targeting to? Go to other geographies. We know that in other places, South America, Africa, it's the way they use it's different from here, Europe or US. We need to understand them. We need to go out. I do go to some design events, and it's really funny because they know NFTs because they know something about it, but they don't know how they work. And it's interesting to be there and listen, understand what are the needs, what do they know. So we need to get out of our own bubble. As designers, as devs, as researchers, whatever. We need to get out and understand better how are we building this and for who are we building this. So get out of a little bit of our comfort zone. It's one of my topics. The last one, it's more for us as designers, and it's autocritic. And if there's more designers in the room, sorry to say this, but we are a weird species. We do things differently sometimes, and we need to embrace different things. So there's a lot of changing on mindset for design for Web3 that needs to happen. We never design in the open. Open source design, it's a tiny, tiny fraction. No one knows about open source design, probably in this room. What is, it is a movement, it happens, it's going on. The way we do user testing, it's something that I've never questioned too much, but do you test the same way for a Web2 product, for a Web3 product? Is there any differences? How do you approach this? Even for us, for the design community, you need to adapt. So you need to think differently and be different within the Web2. So this is kind of an autocritic, and even more, like I said, we are really strange humans, and I just come up with this idea recently, so I changed the slides, because I used to go to creative conferences, and this was in Vienna, Ford Festival, and in Vienna, before the talk, the talker asked a bunch of friends to be naked on stage. They were there naked for the whole talk, just for the sake of being on stage naked. And it got me thinking, this is how design thinks. It's egocentric. It's hyper-creative. It's all about me, me, me. I'm the best. I did this. I'm the best. I'm a diva. My ideas are the best. We need to put that in the basket once and for all. Because in the other week in Lisbon, I went to a conference about autonomous gaming on chain. It was anonymous autonomous. And this guy did a talk with us. Do those two worlds be apart? It's weird. I got this reason. It's weird to understand how different it is. We have a different set of values that the most creative have another vision. So we need to meet somewhere in the middle. And it was really fun to bring this because it got me thinking. How can we fit the way we think as designers, the way we push things forward, have ideas, and okay, I did it. To the same core values of being open, being community-driven, help, all the core values that we do, we need to find a way. It goes against us as designers, and probably the other tech researchers, the whole needs to understand the users as well. So we need to find ourselves in the middle. So I'm almost at the end. Design has the power to humanize and enhance the impact of new technologies, something that I wanted just to leave in the air before I end the talk. And I do believe that design is the final frontier. That's my answer, but I'm biased. That's my view. And thank you.
All right. Thank you, Nuno, for that well-designed presentation. Do we have any questions for Nuno?
Okay.
Hi, thanks. Could you maybe go one slide back where you're asking this question, is design, no, one further.
Which one?
Well, the question of your presentation was, is design
the last frontier?
Yes, the biggest obstacle to mass adoption. And I think we're missing one very important thing, because if you look at things that we're using today that are mass adopted, whether it's Apple computers or Windows computers or Instagram or Facebook, they didn't have predecessors, right? And so you gave the example of a car. Basically, what we're trying to do in, and here on the event and in the whole Web3 space is you're trying to tell people, hey, look, you already have a car, but give me your car and I'll put in a different engine and then you can continue driving your car, right? But those people are going to say, why? I'm already used to my car and it's working great and you're not really giving me anything new. Now, I'm not saying that people shouldn't know about how the engine works. Like I think that's true, that's very important and people want, but it's just not, you're not on a level playing field with the Facebooks and the Apples and the Instagrams if you're not delivering a new product, if you're only changing the engine of the product. Yeah. And so I think if you really want to have Web3 mass adoption, you have to do it with something new, something else that we don't know yet what it is.
But using some of the same patterns, like I don't agree with you when you say that there's no history. There's always history. Mankind, it's based upon itself.
Right.
Again and again, and you're referring to a digital world, like the computer was the first, but before that, you had like paper, pen, whatever, you had to store it. So that's why the evolution was slowly in the beginning, and even the onboarding, like it's super slow. The cars is the same thing, like you said. Uber is the best example. When Uber coming to life, go myself in the stranger's car, what? No one would do that. Now, can you live without the Uber? It's the same thing. So we cannot adopt the same ideas. So I think we need to be critical about what we have now. Like you said, be critical, always critical. And critical thinking, it's one of the things I'm most bullish on. It's be critical on, I think, why do we need this? How to do this? And then adopt it somehow, same patterns. But be critical in the sense that, how can we improve? Is it better? Is it working? Because a lot of the things that we ship right now in Web2, like, and even the wallets, the experience, it's using browser extensions. It's the best example. We use browser extensions to begin with. Who uses browser extensions before we needed it for a wallet? No one used it. It was a forgotten thing that the browser did it. And to be honest, there's something that even within EU, we never thought about that, but I had a friend that somehow had an idea for the cookies, you know, the EU cookies. So you could have that on the browser extension and deny always. For example, no one did it because the extensions itself were like a hack. Like, can I do this? I need to hack something. And was a hack on the browser. Is it perfect? No. Is it working? Yeah. Could it be better? Yeah, a lot better. So it's the kind of the same thing that we need to do. Embrace the difference. It's a process.
So my question is, who do you think is doing it right now? Do you have any favorites in terms of design?
I always get that question and I never answer. I'm not in a position to say that.
Oh no! You can't even tell us what you're into?
I can tell you afterward, not on stage. Sorry. It's not fair to the other ones to say, like, this is better. It will create it. I've been there, and it creates always a discussion that it's always like, why is this better? Why did you choose this? I'm not in a position. I'm being completely agnostic. I'm here to push the design as a whole for everyone. I'm not picking who's the worst and who's the better. I always get that question, but I always get it, and I never answer on stage. I'm happy to talk about that after it.
I have a personal hatred against seed phrases. I think that's something that we need to just remove. Because when you onboard into a wallet, that's the first thing that shows up. And if you don't get onboarded in 2 seconds and people can't use the same password as they use in every other app, then they probably drop off. What's your view on the impact of the seed phrase and this onboarding process in the whole UX experience for someone that's being onboarded? Do you think people feel it as, because they don't understand, they feel it's a turn down? Do you think it has a huge impact, or do you think it's something else that actually prevents them from being onboarded properly into a wallet or something?
I just to do an intro to your before question. My other talk that I did last year was about the mistakes that we did on Web 2, and one of the mistakes was security for design. So the password, user password, binomial was wrong to begin with. We've never should have that, and we never teach the users on Web 2 how to use it properly. At this point, it's still a problem, and that's. We still think that the seed phrase is a problem because you're thinking from the lens of the one that is already using something that is wrong to begin with. They don't know how to store passwords. Like, why do we need a password manager? like that. Normal users don't use password managers because they don't understand the risks of copying the same password. They don't use weak passwords. They don't know the risks. So how can you teach those that their mind is already pre-oriented, like I need to do a password that is 4 keys and it's my kid's name and birthday. So how can we just have that mindset and then on top, now memorize 24 words and don't forget it, and then we'll lose everything if you forget. Like, how can you put those together? We are working on the core level, like smart accounts, and they will help a lot. And I do believe we make it worse than it truly is, to be honest. Because of that perspective, we make it like, why does the user need to be one click away of everything? I do question that. But on technology, the technology is evolving, and that will be solved soon. It will not be a problem. I believe so.
Right. Because of our time, we won't be able to take any more questions. So if you have any questions, you can meet up with Nuno after his talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please hang around. The next talk starts in a few minutes.